Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Poonam, Assistant Professor, ASS Department, IIMT College of Engineering. So today, our topic of discussion is religious architecture of ancient India. So, before the discussion on the topic, we should understand the chronology of ancient Indian history. Ancient Indian history can be divided into different time periods. So, after storage, Indus Valley civilization started with a time period of 3500 to 1750 BCE, and it also known as Harappa civilization, and it flourished in the River Valley. And Indus River Valley, present day in Pakistan and northwest India. And there are many cities like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and Lothal, and it was known for its advanced urban planning, drainage system, and trade network, etc. And after Indus Valley civilization, Vedic period came, and the time period of Vedic period was 1500 to 600 BCE, and it was known for the composition of Veda, the oldest sacred text of Hinduism. And after Vedic period, Mahajanpat period or Buddhist and Jain period came, and the time period was 600 to 300 BCE. And it was known as Mahajanpat period in political terms, and Buddhist and Jain period in religious terms. So during Mahajanpat period, state system emerged. State system emerged. So there are 16 Mahajanpas. So among 16 Mahajanpas, Mauryan or Magad Empire was the prominent. So the next time period was related to Mauryan Empire. So Mauryan time period of Mauryan Empire was 322 to 185 BCE, and it was founded by Chandragupta Maurya with the help of Chanakya or Kautilya, and who established the first centralized imperial state in India. So you can say it was the starting of full-fledged centralized state system in ancient India, and the prominent king of Mauryan Empire was Ashok the Great. And after that, post-Mauryan period came, and the time period of post-Mauryan Empire, uh, post-Mauryan period was 2nd century BC, 2nd century CE to 320 CE. CE means Christian era. After later Mauryan period, Gupta Empire emerged as a golden age of India, and it was known for advancement in the art, science, and mathematics. And the time period of Gupta Empire was 320 to 550 CE, and it was founded by Srigupta. And there are many popular rulers during that period, and they were Chandragupta first, Samudragupta, Chandragupta second, Skandagupta, Kumar Gupta, etc. There were different universities founded during that time, like Nalanda, Takshila, etc. And after Gupta period, later Gupta the later Gupta period emerged, and Harshvardhan was the prominent ruler of that time. And the time period of later Gupta was 550 to 1200 CE. After understanding of the different time periods in ancient history, come to the topic growth of religious architecture in ancient India. So, how ancient Indian structure, ancient Indian architecture emerged from the time period of Indus Valley civilization. Uh, Indus Valley civilization was the first prominent time period in ancient history. So, started with this time period. So, Indus Valley civilization belonged to the starting of religious and non-religious architecture and art forms. And their planned cities, public park, meeting hall, and other buildings are the notable examples. But the systematic religious architecture was started from the Mauryan period, and it can be subdivided into three categories: Buddhist and Jain and Hindu. And if we say about the Vedic period, then we all know that it was a tribal type of economic and political system based society. So there were a lack of any permanent structure during that time. So with the emergence of Mahajanpad and establishment of empire, basic systematic architecture built during the Magadh Empire. So we can see the systematic religious architecture in Mauryan period. And these all are related to three: Buddhist, Jain, and Hindu. Buddhist and Jain architecture basically related to each other. So we will discuss about the Buddhist and Hindu architecture from the Mauryan and later on. So why the religious architecture built? So the Buddhist and Hindu architecture was based on following aspects. So they built for taking experience through the touch, feeling, and seeing. Touch means sparsha, feeling means anubhuti, and seeing means darshan. So there are three philosophies behind the establishment of religious architecture. And there are also for the experience maybe metaphysical, spiritual, and symbolic form. After that period, religious architecture can be divided into two ways. So on the basis of their concept, it can be divided into two different concepts. Number one, they were like a representation of universe in microcosmic way. And the second is they built as a concept of a meditated Buddha and the concept of Vastu Purush. Concept of meditated Buddha was related to Buddhism, and the concept of Vastu Purush was related to building of temple architecture. And now come to the first type of religious architecture, Buddhist architecture. Buddhist architecture can be divided into three parts. Number one, stupa. Number two, chaitya. And number three, vihara. Come to the building of stupa architecture. So, stupa architecture, what was the origin of stupa architecture? Basically, stupa originated as burial mound in ancient India, and over the time, they evolved into more elaborated structure associated with Buddhist religious practices. So they belong to Buddhist religious practice, but in earlier phase, it was like a burial mound. It was like एक टीले की तरह थी और वहां पर किसी ना किसी को मतलब उसे वरीड किया जाता था, बुरिड किया जाता था, मतलब दफनाया जाता. So it was like a burial mound. And what was the purpose of establishment? The primary purpose of stupa was to enshrine relic of Buddha or other important figures of Buddhism, like Bodhisattva, like Arhat, etc. Later, it's for worship, meditation, and as pilgrimage. Pilgrimage मतलब तीर्थ स्थान. तो स्टार्टिंग में ये बुद्ध से रिलेटेड थे, लेकिन बाद में बोधिसत्व और अरहत, बोधिसत्व और अरहत जो है कॉन्सेप्ट बुद्धिज्म से ही रिलेटेड है, बुद्ध से कम है, लेकिन वो बुद्ध की वो लोगों को नॉलेज प्रोवाइड करते हैं. So come to the components. So how many components related to stupa? Stupa typically consists of several key architectural elements. So there are following. Number one, and it's also called dome. Dome. Dome also called and. So the main mound or dome-shaped structure of the stupa is called and, and it representing the cosmos or the universe. So it's the representation of universe. And next part is Toran. Toran are the decorative gateway of or entrance. So जो गेट होते थे, जो स्तूपा के गेट होते थे, they called Toran. And next is Harmika. What is Harmika? Harmika is a small square platform at the top of the stupa, often housing a relic or a representation of Buddha. There is Harmika where relics of Buddha are put in a casket. Come to the Chhatra. Chhatra above the Harimika. So it's a parasol-like structure placed atop of the Harimika. So it is the spread of Buddhism around the four directions. It's symbolizing the protection and the honor of Buddhism. So there are two other structures belong to stupa, and one is the Vedika. Vedika is a boundary all around the gateway or toran, near the toran. And the other thing is Pradakshinapat. Pradakshinapat is a circular walking way after the Vedika. So there are different components of stupa. Now come to the Chaitya architecture. It's referred to a style of Buddhist architecture that primarily characterized ancient Buddhist monasteries and worshipped all, particularly in the Indian subcontinent. So it is basically for the praying purpose in Buddhism. So there are different key features in Chaitya. Number one, stupa. There are also stupas um, in every Chaitya. So, number one, stupa. The most prominent feature of Chaitya architecture is a stupa, hemispherical mound usually containing relics and other remains of Buddha or Buddhist monks or important figures. We have already discussed about the stupa. Second thing is column or facade. And column at Chaitya halls typically features elaborated columns and curved facade. These columns often have curved capitals and bases resembling wooden prototypes. लकड़ी के होते थे. And third thing is cave temples. Basically, many Chaitya structures are found in cave complexes. So, carved out of rock faces, these cave temples often feature a central nave, asles, and stupa at the far end. And next is carving and sculptures. So elaborated carving and sculptures adorn the walls and entrance of Chaitya Hall, depicting scenes from the life of Buddha, Buddhist mythology like Jatak tales, and various motifs. So there's also barrel well walls and the pradakshina. Pradakshina, but around the stupa, there is usually a circular form path that devotees walk around as a part of their religious rituals. So, Chaitya basically for the prayer purpose, and every Chaitya has had viharas also. So, during the rainy season, most of the monks stayed that areas where they can stay for a long time for a during all the rainy season. So they stayed in caves or other places. So in caves, there was starting of building of chaitya, and where monks lived and uh, did prayers for the rainy season. You can see the structure of chaitya. This is the structure of chaitya, and there are many pillars, and behind the pillar we can see Pradakshina Path, and at the end of Chaitya we can see the stupa. This is architectural structure. Now come to the temple architecture. So basically, initially Devkul was a temper form during early ancient period. It was made of perishable material. A few instances of temple structure are found in Berar, Jaipur, but they bear no remarkable tradition. So earliest temple found in Berar, they built as it was basically Vasudev temple, the Heliodorus pillar near the Heliodorus pillar in Base Nagar. So it was of 2nd century BCE, and they means Devkulo built as the representation of the existing religious perceptions of the people in a tangible form. And Earliest temples were inspired with the hermitage structure like hut or kuti, and the places were popular like seashore, near the lake or river, and the topmost part of the mountain. So they were the most popular places for the building of temples in ancient India. Typically, Indian temple architecture began during the Gupta era, Gupta age. So how to form temples were written in different type of literature, and there were different primary types of the temple. It can be divided into different types. So they were the earliest types of temples. First, the type one. Type one temple. It was square structure with a shallow porch supported by पिलर्स एंड द लेबल रूम एक प्लेटफॉर्म होता था जिसपे टेम्पल को बनाया जाता था छोटा सा प्लेटफॉर्म होता था और एक छोटा सा स्क्वायर शेप में एक रूम टाइप का स्ट्रक्चर होता था इट वाज द अर्लीस्ट स्टेज ऑफ टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर द सेंटम मींस गर्भगृह also known as cell or garbhagriha is the center of the temple and it has a single entrance and the porch or mandapa initially appeared here. And the two greatest example are the Vishnu Varaha temple in Aran, and second is the Kankali Devi temple in Tigava. Second type of temple architecture, type 2 temples. Type 2 temples and elaborated of type 1 with the addition of an ambulatory or pradakshina, around the sanctum. And some temples had a second story too. And the notable examples are Shiva temple at Mumra, MP, and Ladakhan temple at Ehol. Okay. Now, type 3 temples. There are third types of temple. So they were enhanced type of temple. And type 3 temples, a square temple with a pillar approach and a high platform at a base appearance of tower, like as it known as Shikhar. The Panchayatan style was introduced. This type of type 3 temples, the Panchayatan style of making temples was also introduced, along with the concept of subsidiary shrine. So there are two types, there are two basically speciality of that type of temple, where first is Panchayatan style and second is subsidiary shrines. The notable examples are the Shabda temple at Devgarh, Jhansi, and the brick temple of Bhitargaon, Kanpur. And Panchayatan style, the making of temple. In next slide, we will understand the Panchayatan style. And subsidiary style is the part of the Panchayatan style. And subsidiary shrine are related to main god, and his family. The Garbhagriha belong to main god, and the subsidiary shrine belong to his or her family. So this is Panchayatan style of architecture, and you can see this structure and around the main temple we can see 4 sub shrines. So there are different parts of Panchayatan style of temples. Number 1 Ardha Mandap. We started with number 1 part, number 2 Mandap, number 3 Mahamandap. So Mandap can be divided into 3 parts, and 4th part is Antral. Antral gap between Mandaps and the sanctum or Garbhagriha. Fifth part is Garbhagriha. Sixth part is Pradakshina. Pradakshina means the walking around the temple. And seventh is trans steps, the extended form of temple. And eighth is Jagati. 9 is subsidiary shrines. So this is basically the Panchayatan style of temple architecture. There were different styles of temple architecture emerged, and these all styles were technically enhanced. So the first style was Nagar style, second style was Dravidian style, and third style was basal style. So we will start with the Naga style. Naga style basically related to the North Indian temple style, and it was predominant in North India. These temples built on a stone platform with steps leading up to it. This style has tall and carved toward shikhars, carved tower. It had curved tower. The Naga style had tall and curved tower, and tower means shikhar, and that rise above the sanctum is called garb. And while the earliest temple had just one tower or shikhar, later temples had seven. In earliest time period, it had only one tower in one temple, but later on they had different towers on mandaps. So, but the main tower is always big. The garbhagriha is always located directly under the tallest tower. मतलब जो गर्भगृह है वो हमेशा टॉलेस्ट सबसे गर्भगृह का जो टावर होगा वो सबसे बड़ा टावर का मेन टावर. So there are a few examples like includes Konark Temple, Khajuraho, Pashnath Temple, Jagannath Temple, and uh, Vishwanath Temple. So we can see northern Indian belt belong to this type of temple. Many subdivisions of Nagar temples depending on the shape of shikhar or tower. So there are three types based on the different structure of tower in or shikhar in Nagar style of temple architecture. First type, the Latina type or Rekha Prashad, the most common name for the simple shikhar, which is square at the base and whose walls curved or slope inward to a point on top. So this is basically square shape base, and it is basically curved simple. And the second form, the Famsara type. Famsara types trained to be broader and shorter than Latina. चौड़ा होता है but छोटा होता है. ऊंचाई लेटिना जैसी नहीं. It tend to be broader and shorter, and their roofs are composed of several slabs that gently rise to a single point over the center of building, unlike the Latina one, which look like sharply rising tall. Latina sharp होता है. It look like it is not as sharp as Latina type of shikhar. The next is Vallabi type. Vallabi type, these are rectangular buildings with a roof that rise into a vaulted chamber. So there are three types of shikhar belong to Nagar style of temple architecture. Temple architecture. Dravidian temple architecture. So you can see the structure of temple. So it started with Gopuram. Gopuram as entrance gate. Then you can see Nandi, and after that Nandi, the symbolic form Nandi, and next is Mandap. Mandap, it is a pillared hall or walking area type Mandap, and then the main temple. Main temple Garbhagriha. For Garbhagriha, above the Garbhagriha, there is Viman. There is a shikhar called Viman. So it is pyramidal shape. Okay. Temple is enclosed with a compound wall. There are different features of Dravid temple. Basically, the area of Dravid temple are South India. They are South Indian temple. And so they enclosed with a compound wall. एक wall होती है. These temples features pyramid shaped tower called Viman. So यहाँ पर शिखर नहीं बोलेंगे, विमान बोलेंगे. Then the third thing is adorned with intricate sculptures and often have large pillared hall. So there are different small sculpture on Viman also, and a number of pillars in Mandap. The front wall has an entrance gateway called Gopuram. These are basically of 5 different shapes. Square called foot. So there are 5 different shapes of uh, Viman. So there are 5 different shapes. Number one, square shape. Square shape called hood. Second, rectangular shape or shal. Third is elliptical shape called gajprasth. Next is circular or vritta. And last is octagonal or ashtastra. So there are different examples of South Indian architecture or South Indian Dravid architecture like Kanchipuram, Tanjore Temple, Meenakshi Temple of Madurai, and it is dedicated to Devi Parvati. And next is Annamalai Temple in Tiruvannamalai, Tamil Nadu, and Aravateshwar Temple in Tamil Nadu. So they all belong to South Indian architecture, South Indian area. The last style of temple architecture, it is a basic style of temple architecture, and it is basically a bland Nagaland Dravidic style of architecture. So it is bland architecture, blend of the both features, yeah, blend of features from both architecture styles, Nagar and Dravid style, seen mainly in Central India and part of Karnataka. Central India and the few parts of Karnataka. And temples in this style have feature of both, with towered, sanctums, and pillar. There are also there are also pillars. So in few parts there are also curved tower, curved structure of shikhar. So there are few examples like Kailash Nathar Temple, Kanchipuram, and Virupaksha Temple, Hampi. Kailashnath Temple, situated in Tamil Nadu, one of the oldest structure of Kanchipuram and dedicated to Lord Shiva. And Virupaksha Temple, Hampi, situated in Tamil Nadu, current Karnataka, sorry, it is in Karnataka, and it is an UNESCO, it is an UNESCO World Heritage Site. And the Virupaksha Temple is a prime example of this style of architecture. Next is Chennaka Seva Temple. Chennaka Seva Temple, it is in Vellore and located in Karnataka. And the Chennaka Seva Temple is renowned for its intricate carving and bizarre style architecture built during the Hoysal Empire. So it built by the Hoysal kings. Virupaksha Temple of Hampi and Kedareshwar Temple of Karnataka is style, and you will see the structure of these temples. So much.